Welcome to another episode of Moonshots. As you know, every week we bring you amazing guests. And these guests tell you about their moonshots, but they give you the wisdom for you, so you can be that amazing person dreaming, not just dreaming of your moonshot, but actually making your moonshots come true or making your dreams come true.
Yes.
This week is probably one of the most special weeks. And here is why. We have had Gabriella in our episode before. And we never had a back-to-back same guest here. But she was so amazing, and there were so many things I wanted to ask her. And I decided we're going to do the second part of it. So if you're watching this, please stop. Go ahead and watch the previous version of our Moonshot episode with Gabriella Wright, and then come right back here, and we're going to continue this conversation. So Gabriella, again, it's so hard to introduce you. And, if people who watched the first episode have already seen how much fun can you be. But here we are in Seattle, Washington, the
Yes.
Pacific Northwest, the most beautiful place on earth, if you ask me. And what brings you here is something that you really deeply care about.
Yes.
What brought you here really is this movement and the movie that you're creating around Never Alone. So tell me a little bit more about what is Never Alone, what are you trying to do, and what is the purpose?
Never Alone. Never Alone is a movement.
Yeah.
And it's a grassroots movement. And we're really launching it community by community. So by myself being here with Punacha Machaya, the other co-founder,
Yes.
we are launching it with you. With Bellevue, with yourself, with Anu, your wife, and Biome, because we believe that it's a movement to help release stigma on mental health and also find tools for suicide prevention and bring tools for mental hygiene. Create a conversation that allows people to freely exchange that this is normal. There's normalcy that sometimes we don't feel well. There's normalcy around, people having issues. It's okay to not be okay, and it's very important to bring awareness. So the movement is really never alone.
Yep.
It says what it is, for us to not experience
So
solitude.
here's the thing. You say that mental illness is a stigma.
Yes.
And, we can talk about that my shoulder hurts or my gut hurts or, I have this bloating or I have all these different diseases. Why is mental health a stigma when we all know that it is literally the part of the body and your gut is connected to the brain? And if you can talk about the gut, what is it that we have such a difficult time talking about the mental illness? And the second part of the question really is that men especially are taught from the time that you are that person. You don't have depression. You never have mental illness.
Yes.
That is someone else. It happens to someone else, right? And it turns out more men feel lonely and have depression than women. So why don't you just touch a little bit more about these two topics and see what you have to say.
Okay, so we can go on for a third podcast after this. This is a big topic. I mean, this is part of my whole research. This is why Never Alone was born,
Go for it.
The thing is, first of all, there's the mind.
Yes.
Right, the mind. And we think that the mind is connected to the brain. But we know that the mind is more extensive than just this tool that we have here. And mental health, we often link it to brain health as well, know. But the thing is, what I'm trying to talk about is mental hygiene. So how do we create a relationship with the mind that's a relationship where we can cleanse our minds, create a self-awareness so that one day we can check in and see if we have mental health deficiencies and issues, you see, because mental health is often it's medicalized. It's a medical term. Doctors use it, and as soon as you say, hey, I'm not feeling well, next thing you know, you might be prescribed a drug that maybe you're allergic to, or maybe you don't want to, or maybe you don't want your co-mates and your people at school, your schoolmates don't want to. It's your little secret, and it's become confined in a way where if you have a mental health issue, you are automatically isolated within your family, within your school, within your environment, as you say, as a man. But even as a man, as a child, mental health is something that's very private. It's very personal.
But let's make it public now. So
but I agree. But that's the problem. What the problem that we've been facing is that it's been, stigmatized as something very private. And yes, now we have to open a chain of communication that allows us to have a free communication. And like we're having a conversation today.
But here's the thing, I don't have a problem telling you that, my stomach hurts, right? Or I'm not feeling well, right? I can tell you about, I have type 2 diabetes. So all these different diseases people can discuss. So what is it about this mental health that we just somehow say that people are going to look at me and say, oh my God, you're literally crazy?
You're right. And I don't think there's a clear answer to that question. I just think that people want to feel normal. They want to feel inclusive. All of a sudden, if there's a mental problem or a mind problem, all of a sudden there's an isolation factor and there's an exposure. I feel that the mental health is very naked. All of a sudden, it's very personal. And people have a problem sharing their personal realities. It's a very intimate relationship with self. So imagine, that's why there's a stigma around it, because people don't want to share that intimacy. And we're not in a safe place. Our society is not safe for us to share personal information without it being used against us.
But here's the thing.
And that's the problem as well.
We both know Deepak Chopra well, right?
Of course.
So now let's look at the mind that we talk about. The mind is really not part of our body.
Exactly.
In fact, we are all have this part of the same consciousness. We all
Completely.
share the same mind. There is no privacy here because we're manifestation of the same global consciousness, right? So the thing that we look at the stuff and saying, this idea of never alone is also part of the depression and suicide prevention.
Yes.
And I want you to talk a little bit more about that. And to me, the only reason people commit suicide or people have depression is, at least in the naive sense that I look at the stuff, is people feel helpless and hopeless.
Yes.
And minute you feel that tomorrow is going to be no better than today, you feel there is nothing much to live for, or there is not much is going to happen that's better. But if you can just change that perception, change that thinking to say, hey, I can't change the past, but I can definitely change what I do right now, right this second. And even the small step that I take is going to have the ripple effect that will change the trajectory of not only where I will be, but with that action, I change everything around me.
Yes.
So, but you're the expert here, so give me.
I'm the expert. I'm a student of life. Let me tell you a secret.
Okay.
How I'm able to break free, how I'm able to break free constantly is because I question reality every day. I question reality. If I'm not feeling well, I am questioning reality. So I am questioning the environment. I'm questioning why do I not feel well? Why? So, okay, what is it? But why do I think that's true? And then I realize, but it's not true. And then I go back to the center of what is consciousness? What is the world we live in? What is the true nature of reality? And this needs to be an education that's given since a very young age. We're lucky because we both know, like you say, Deepak Chopra, and he is one of the co-founders of Never Alone.
Yes.
And there's a reason for that, because he knows and acknowledges that it is an epidemic.
Yeah.
That today, if we don't free our minds and understand the true nature of our mind, how can we be free of our own mental illness? We all have some, I would say, degree of separation with reality, right? And it's how big that divide is. And Deepak knows that, he knows that there's no separation.
Yep.
We're all consciousness.
Yeah.
But how do we bring this knowledge in a very practical way? How can we save lives, literally?
Yeah.
And how can we save generations through cellular memory and family constellations in a way where, you have one suicide in one family, 3 generations 3 generations later, it can occur again because it's not healed. You know, so there are many ways to look at this, but the essence is that we're all one consciousness, and we need to have the education of that. And that's not given at schools. You know, we need to have new programs, whether it's after school programs. We need to have awareness. We have to understand that mental hygiene is normal. It's normal. I brush my teeth every day. I wash my hair, you know, every 2 days. And then, you know, we wash our bodies every day. So we have this capacity of creating routines for our lives that make ourselves better physically. How can we do that mentally? You know?
So let's make it more personal here, right? You have a kid.
Yes.
How are you educating him about the mental hygiene and about this mental fitness?
Well, it's actually an interesting question. I taught my son's now, he's going to be 16 this year.
Okay.
So I've been taking him to retreats with me since he's 3.
Okay.
You know,
That's
so
great.
he's been in retreats in India with me. He's been to different humanitarian projects, the field trips that I've done. So he's already had awareness that there are other people who are in positions that are not as fortunate as we are in, which is important. So already he's developed a different perception with reality. He's like, okay,
so
I have to be
needed?
grateful.
So is it what's needed that everyone to go out and find someone who is just worse than them?
Now that's being a bit strong, honey. I wouldn't say that, because sometimes people smile a lot more in those places.
That's my point. That's my point.
than we, okay? So, I'm just gonna no. What I meant was that sometimes when you're performing service,
now we're getting
that's
somewhere.
selfless. Okay, the selfless service. Then it takes us out of our own mind. It takes us out of our own routine. And so I've given that to my son, and I was doing it for my own healing and research anyway. So I was doing that automatically. But my son got embroiled in my world. Now he meditates. He gets up every day at 5 a.m. He meditates at sunrise, and he does it on his own accord. In the beginning, I'd always like, remember to meditate. This and that. He was like, now he does it by himself. He does it his own way. He adapts it to his own needs. And he's aware that he needs to be aware, actually.
So basically, from what I understand is that it's if you can move yourself away from this selfish idea of it's about me to make it to be about others.
Yes.
And the best way to get rid of the mental health is to really serve.
Yes.
So it's not about serving people who necessarily are less blessed, but in fact going out and serving people who may be financially more blessed, but they probably can't smile.
Exactly. No smiling. Exactly.
And give them that compassion. Give them that the tool so them to say, it's okay. Your life can be better tomorrow.
Exactly. And it's, and I think what's important, even for Never Alone, we realized that we needed to trigger empathy. Empathy leads to compassion, which means empathy with action is compassion. So we want to do good wherever we go. We want to make people smile, have awareness, be kind. Be kind. It's an important thing. We think it's a new age thing, but no. Be kind is actually real. People can feel kindness. So we decided to create a film. It's called I Am Never Alone. And we're done, actually. We're in post-production right now.
Awesome.
Yes. And the film actually follows a mother who I interpret. And unfortunately, she loses her child to suicide.
Oh, no.
In the teenage years. But what happens is she goes on this journey of understanding why. And she goes on a journey that is very selfless in the sense that she's trying to understand these questions, but through these questions, she's understanding her relationship with reality. What is consciousness? What is the mystery of life? What is death? Because once you understand that death actually is not the death that
birth
we
and
think
death
it is.
Birth and death is just a concept.
Exactly. So in this film, we explain it. We explain also possibilities of why, teenagers, the youth, are more susceptible to suicide.
And what is that?
More in the sense that...
Why?
Why? Well, first of all, in the U.S., between the ages of 10 and 34, it's the second cause of death.
But why is that?
I think there's a lot of reasons. Okay. It's a combination of reasons. Obviously, because there's a fluctuation in who am I, who am I going to be? What is my purpose? It's at these years that, we really need to find our position in quote unquote society. There's also been a raise in technology, the uses of technology through social media and the fact of differentiation and comparison,
So how do you do that with your son? What's his name, by the way?
Michael Sean.
Michael. So how do you teach these tools, or how do you give them these tools and these understanding to Michael? Because he's 16.
Yes.
He's watching the Instagram. He's watching all these people supposedly having this great time.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I always tell him that, first of all, I'm an actor as well. We know, right? We know what's real and what's not, All of this Instagram is just a stage. The world is a stage. That's Shakespeare, I know. But we're not. But Instagram is even more of a stage. It's everyone trying to be something that they're actually not, And I've given him those tools. I've told him this is not real. This is, you look like, and he doesn't even post that much. He's got a lot of followers for a young age, but he doesn't post that much in the sense that...
His mom doesn't do live either.
Yeah, I know. I know. But I'm trying to be real. I'm trying to be just live, like without the live.
I love your voice.
You know what I mean? I just try to be like real all the time. So regardless of that, is that, he also, you know what he did the other day?
Tell me.
He took my phone.
Yeah.
He's like, Mom, let me check something. And he goes on my screen time. He's like, Mom, you've been on your screen for more than me. I was like, my love, I actually use my telephone as a work tool, okay? I have different emails. I don't, post lives. I'm not really, those quote unquote influencers, because that's not how I don't feel. That's not my thing, right? And so he was like, yeah, you know what? I'm actually going to cut down my screen time too. He's like, I realized, and he said something to me very strong. He's like, Mom, you were so lucky when you were a teenager, you didn't have a cell phone. And I was like, you're right. And I was like, you're right. He's like, you were able to concentrate. And I was like, I was. Actually, I was able to concentrate. I wrote songs. I was in a band. I was on theater.
Oh my God, we got to talk about that.
No,
yes. We're going to talk about that. So, okay. So this girl acted in this $1 curry, moved on to do a whole bunch of other movies, now doing this movie called Never Alone.
Yes.
But we forgot the rock and roll part here, right?
I know.
So let's talk about you being in the band. What was that about?
Oh, that was in my, pre-16, 17.
All right. So what kind of band?
It was a trip-hop band.
Okay.
So we were doing digital music, very, trippy.
Yeah. Were you a singer or were you...
I was a singer-writer.
Okay. Yeah. Singer and writer.
Yes.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. Like just impromptu, we did the meditation.
Oh, no, I'm not singing.
Oh, come on. You got to give me one verse. That's all I ask you. Just one verse.
Okay, what can I say? No, okay, I'll give you something that is my favorite song.
Go for it.
I'll just do one little thing.
Okay, one little thing.
I haven't sung in years.
Okay.
This is
one
bad.
little thing.
And by the way, my sister was a singer.
Oh my God. So we're going to get her next.
Yeah, we're going to get her next. Okay, so... Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the garden is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your ma is good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. Oh my God, I used to do that digital-wise.
Oh my God, you have an amazing voice.
No.
Okay, but guys, we're gonna take this clip here and we're gonna use that for a promo.
Oh my God,
this is it.
I'm so scared. He's relaunching my singing career. I refuse to take a microphone ever again.
This was an amazing voice. I think you have a tremendous talent for singing.
You're wasting your time, Gabriella,
being
an actress.
You can be acting and singing. They call musical Broadways.
Yeah, I'd have to be a good dancer. I Bharatanatyam, maybe.
Ooh.
Maybe.
All right. So, Jimmy, if you're listening to this episode, I just found you a great artist. And I get the piece of the royalty here. So, if you're talking to Gabriella, I need the royalty.
Next life, darling. I've got too much to do on Never Alone.
Okay. So, I'm not going to let you off the hook that easily. So you had this band life, you had this life, and now you're really focused on giving back to the society.
Yes.
So today we're going to have an event.
Yes, we have an event tonight.
And that event, what is the ideal outcome? And what would you like? And you say, you know what, this was an amazing success. What would that look like?
What it would look like is that everyone in that audience would go back and feel inspired to be socially responsible for someone that they don't know and reach out to just really have that sense of togetherness, really know that everyone is responsible for one another. Yeah. I feel that what I've noticed once I started this Never Alone is that people didn't feel responsible for when something happened to someone else.
That's right.
And I'm like, no, my darling, if that's happening to that extension of the other person, that means it's happening to your arm. It's happening to another member of your family. We're all one family and we're in this together. I want people to feel moved into action and really create their own little sanghas, their own little, even if it's 4 people, small little communities connecting this. We're building this digital platform that we spoke about, right? At Sages and Scientists. So, we want this online community to be equivalent to and support the offline community. But the offline community in person is really where the heart of the movement is. And I want everyone to feel that they are the ambassadors of this movement. This is not my movement. This is not Deepak's. This is not Punacha's. This is not Misha. This is everyone's. And I want us to feel inspired but moved into our responsibility that is really a loving responsibility, not a heavy responsibility.
If people feel inspired and people feel that this was their calling, what do they do next?
What would they do next? They would connect with us.
How would they connect with you?
They can go on our website.
Okay.
I'm going to sound like an infomercial.
That's
right
okay.
now.
No. This is a great purpose. Remember, to me, if we succeed, the humanity succeeds.
Exactly. And listen, I agree. If we succeed, humanity succeeds, but it's also even more than that. We're sustainable as an entity.
Yes.
Humanity becomes sustainable again because we're actually dying. So whether we're jumping off buildings, taking too many drugs, or climate change, being, our own self-destruction, which is an image of that, then we really are going to a point of extinction. And what we're doing is a call for action to really become, connected. Look, I want to hold your hand. Like we need to feel this. This is what I want the community to be like.
So look, we both are coming at this from a different angle, right?
Yes.
So I'm coming from the angle of that, hey, these mental health issues are connected to our gut, and a gut is connected to the brain. And I'm coming from the part of that if you're having these issues, it is not you, it is simply the chemical imbalance based on what you are eating. And you're coming from the side, hey, let's change this idea of having these discussions, because it is really not a disease.
It's not a big deal.
It is a nutritional deficiency. It's like saying my vitamin D is low, right? So I want us to, tell me about how you think of, you've done a lot of research on it. What do you think of this gut and a brain connection and how it all works?
I think it's, first of all, essential. It's number one. It's essential. I remember when I had my child, I went into a baby blues, but I didn't know what that was, and I had no idea it was baby blues until I had gotten out of it.
Of course, that's how it is.
Thank you very much, by the way, guys. They don't give you a pamphlet when you go to the gynecologist or at the hospital. No one says, by the way, you're going to be depressed and you want to kill yourself. Oh, great, thanks. No, nobody gives that to you. And I was a young mother, and because I had the distinction of awareness already, that self-awareness, I was able to say, hold on a second, I'm not feeling well. Why am I crying every night? And yet I have a beautiful child. What's going on? And I'm like, hold on a second. So I just gave birth. Obviously, my whole placenta's out, literally. So that means I've lost all these minerals that were So how do I rebuild my gut? So I went to actually see iridologist. This was in Paris. A guy who looks at the pupil and he can tell, the deficiencies.
Of course.
Exactly. So I went to this doctor, and he basically prescribed all this nutrition program, which was based on juice and probiotics and all gut health. And that's how I was able to reestablish a connection with myself. And I wasn't crying anymore and all of this. But I was like, oh my God. I mean, if I'm in this position, what about all these other women? I mean, goodness. And I had the youth, which was, with me at that time. But, imagine after 3 kids.
But imagine the world has moved from looking at the people. Now you can scientifically look inside what's actually going on.
But which is incredible but that's new. I think this is what I think. If I were to give a general prescription, prevention of mental health, because this is all preventative medicine, preventative research. It's all about prevention. First of all, we need to calm the mind. We need to understand that all of this is just a moving entity, and it's always going to move. We're not identified with our thought. But then we need to know that also this is a moving entity. Our gut is the cosmos, and we can actually take action in that. We can take action and we can identify, and we are actually just moving microbiomes with a human form.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. I feel my mother would love this conversation.
No, this is true. We live in their world. They don't live in our world. We live in their world. There are 40 trillion of them inside us and one of us, right? There are more of them in this universe. They came 3.5 billion years before we did. So to me, we are a walking, talking ecosystem. We are the universe in ourselves.
Yes.
And we are part of this global universe. And if you think about what connects us all, is really these microbes around. That's the universe, right? So maybe in the Deepak's world, this is the global connection.
Yes, I love it. We're all microbes.
They're all microbes, right?
I love this.
Right. And as you know that, based on all this stuff, when I was talking to Deepak, the reason we started Viome was to be able to actually understand the world of microbiome, because we knew once we understood that, all these chronic diseases will disappear, because it is your genes are not your destiny.
Yes.
What you feed them becomes the destiny.
But that's beautiful, you see. I love that you said that. And I think we can use that for never alone. Like meaning, you're never alone. That's not your destiny. You know what I mean? You can become free.
Yes.
You can take action.
Yes.
And I think the best of preventions would be, this needs to be at schools. This needs to be where kids already have a relationship with their own gut, their own food. I mean, how much crap.
Yeah, we eat
so much crap.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, it's really bad. And there's no education of how to eat unless we're in certain privileged families. I'm sorry. But, we have to become
and we have to make this so affordable that everyone can afford it. And that's what we've done. We brought the cost down from $1,000 to $100.
Which is incredible.
Right? And we're going to continue to bring it down.
Yes, and maybe we can do, initiatives where, in certain high schools.
We give it away.
Yes. And part of, the Never Alone initiative with
Love
Viome.
that idea.
I love it. Because then we create little workshops. And then you can come in, or whoever you
why
have
don't we do
Viome.
that? Let's just make it happen. Let's take the schools, let's give them for free, because we want them to know that this is preventable.
Yes,
this is in their control. Right?
It's beautiful.
Listen to your gut.
I love that.
Yeah, so.
Oh my God, that's great. Listen to your. That's really good, because it's intuition.
Yeah.
Your dreams. Listen to your gut. But let's.
Mom was a doctor. Mom says, listen to your gut. Do your gut check. And what she really meant was do a Viome check.
No, but this is brilliant. You see, these are very practical tools that can help that with the self-awareness, and it creates a toolkit. And I really believe that it's a toolkit for human kindness. It's the more we take care of ourselves, the more we're kind with each other, the more we want to connect, the more we're free, the more we want to go to the moon and go to the more we are at our highest potential. And I think that's
Gabriella, I don't know what to do. I think we have to bring you back again for the third episode. So we're going to stop here, and not because I want to stop here. We're just having so much fun here. We need to really bring you back here, and this time we're going to bring you back with your son. Okay,
and then we're going to
actually.
He's going to be inspired by you. He wants
I think he's going to be inspired by you, young lady.
No, he has me every day. He's like, oh God.
Unfortunately, all good things must end. So this is an end of this another great episode with Gabriella, and I just don't know how to thank you, Gabriella, for being such an amazing guest.
Thank you
and
to you. Thank you to amazing.
And thank you for doing the amazing things you do.
No, thank you. Thank you to your wife.
We love you all. See you again
we
soon.
love you.